But here, one of the great rabbis that came out of Yeshiva University, well before this Toeivah happened, cried out when he saw how this is happening in front of his eyes and everyone is staying quiet. How can everybody be quiet about this, he says. How can everybody be quiet when there is Toeivah inside a yeshiva, an institution that calls itself a yeshiva? How could the two coexist in peace and be acknowledged? He calls the chief of that school, and the chief of the school says, listen, if we do not acknowledge the Toeivah, we're not going to get any government funding. When he reached one of the rich Jews that donated $1 million to the school in a recent campaign, how could you support such things? And he got the same response. If we do not acknowledge the Toeivah, we're not going to get government funding. And Rav Gifter cries out to Am Yisrael and whoever is listening until this day, as the tears of heaven are getting bigger and bigger, and how could this be that we acknowledge and accept Toeivah in the world of Torah? How can it be that everyone is silent about it? How could it be? And if silence was not a crime enough, praising the wicked makes it even worse.
That Yeshiva University has an Einstein Association of gays and lesbians. You hear the language? At the Department of Genetics, phone number 214-409-3364. Why is everyone silent? Signed by a gentleman, I don't know who he is, from Adam. Chaim Newmark, 184 Division Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. When I got this card, I became shocked. Because ich kenne zusammen. My alma mater is Yeshiva's Rabbi Elchonon. Were it not for that yeshiva, who knows where I would have been today? Say in the Toeivah. And today, it's a department in a university, one of over 60 schools in the Yeshiva University. All the schools have a description that takes up a column or a column and a half. The yeshiva has exactly 2 lines, but it's part of that university. And in that university, you have an association, an official association, gays and lesbians. If you read the weekly Cleveland Jewish News, you find in the synagogues mentioned also the gay synagogue of Cleveland, Elchonon. But here, that gays should have a synagogue, it didn't catch it. Anything can happen. But at the Yeshiva University, it be an official association of Mishkat Chornikis who practice those things for which the Umas that lived in Eretz Yisrael were driven out from Eretz Yisrael to make place for us. I wrote to the president of the university, sent him a copy of this card. What are you doing about it? I'm overwhelmed. I've studied in the yeshiva. I cannot fathom that my alma mater should have sunk to such a degree. I wrote to his assistant, Rabbi Charlock. I wrote to the president of the Rabbinical Council, all for yeshiva. And I wrote to a few more. What was President Lamb's answer? That's the important thing. We have great-hearted, but we cannot shut them down, because that would be I guess the book. Discrimination. That would be discrimination. And when we will practice discrimination, all government aid to the university will be immediately stopped. That was his answer. You understand what that means? We are ready to sell all our beliefs for the sake of government funds. Rahman Islam, how far can we sink? There's nothing that can be done about it, because we lose government funds. It will be considered discrimination. Der Goy wird so, als was vielen die Proben in seiner Institution nicht geschult. That's discrimination. I have no words for it. And all to whom I've written, who can possibly have influence in this, answer the same way. Wir sind verpflichtet zu tun. Verschließt die University. And after all, in my day, the boys who wanted university studies went to CCNY, to NYU, and to Columbia. Can't we do it today? Must you have your own university? Contrary to what I should use, what a dictates. Must that be the way to live? And you call that a disgrace? You call it Yeshiva University. Take off the name of Yeshiva, so it'll be another university like Columbia and all the others. But Yeshiva, where you list the Yeshiva itself as a school in the university, this is the world we live in. I wrote to Mr. Irving Stone, who is a member of the $1 Million Club. $100 million was raised at the anniversary, the 100th anniversary. He was one of those who contributed $1 million. He gives a lot of money for yeshivas. So I wrote to him. I got an answer. I realized he sent the letter to Lamb, and Lamb composed the answer. He signed his name, because it was practically the same wording as the letter that Lamb had sent me. So I realized that this is not Stone's language. You can't get moving. Staat ungelijk. Wir sagen, es ist ein schöneres das, schöneres Heden. We must do something to stop this heel shake Shemayim with a Hesed. We must do something. And we can't just brush it off and say, well, that's Yeshiva of Yeshiva of, and if it hadn't been in the United States, no yeshiva would be here today. All European yeshivas that came here after the war, because there was a yeshiva who had laid the foundations of Yeshiva Toeivah. It taught us the Bevatos, and it's our specific duty to see to it as Torah Jews that they should stop. We carry a terrible responsibility. Now, let's read further. article in the media, New York Times, March 24th, 1988, not too long. This is a report by a reporter named Ari Goldman, the New York Times. It begins, ultra-Orthodox Jews, not Orthodox Jews, but ultra-Orthodox Jews. You know what that means? The Kanoi, the extremists, ultra-Orthodox Jews, including the Hasidim, have set the religious agenda for too long in both the United States and Israel. They're not the ones to determine what is religion and what is not religion. The president of Yeshiva University said Tuesday, calling on moderate Orthodox elements to reassert themselves. From these fellows. In a major speech on centrist orthodoxy, centrist orthodoxy, not rightist, leftist, Dr. Norman Lamb addressed a question that also has echoes in other faiths. Listen to the question. Question raised and posed by Dr. Lamb. In an age when fundamentalists are flexing their religious muscle, they even have candidates for the presidency of the United States. The fundamentalists. Can moderate voices be heard? Or everything has to be by the fundamentalists. So he's actually shook. Afruneri, was faced from shores, from compromises, is equated with the fundamentalists of the Christian faith here in the United States. That's not doing. Because you're a president from Yeshiva University. He studied there a little bit after me. Moderation should never be confused with indecisiveness. The fanatic is indecisive. And because he's afraid, therefore he becomes a fanatic.
As the tears of heaven are getting bigger and bigger, and how could this be that we acknowledge and accept Toeivah in the world of Torah? How can it be that everyone is silent about it? How could it be? And if silence was not a crime enough, praising the wicked makes it even worse.